Am I the a-hole for telling my best friend's ex-wife that she only has herself to blame for him not talking to her anymore? At the beginning of the year, my friend Tom finalized his divorce. It was a messy and toxic situation on both sides. He and his ex-wife, Brittany, divorced after he discovered she had been having a long-term affair with one of her other friends, Steven. Tom is usually a level-headed guy, but the affair and subsequent divorce really broke him. I believe that if it weren't for his two boys, he might have considered ending it all. They share custody with Tom having the boys 60% of the time. The problem now is that he hasn't spoken to Brittany since the divorce was finalized. He picks up and drops off the boys without speaking to her, ignores her at the boys' events, and doesn't interact with her family. I don't think he's doing anything wrong. It's not like he badmouths her in front of the kids. Things escalated when he asked me to pick up the boys because he was unavailable. I agreed and went to get them. When I arrived, Brittany was there as expected. I greeted her and called the boys over. After they got in my truck, she asked if we could talk. Thinking it was about the kids, I agreed. To my surprise, she broke down crying, saying she knew what she did was wrong, but that Tom couldn't continue to be this cruel. She claimed he was ruining the last bit of stability the boys had, and that her family already hated her for the affair, especially her dad who saw Tom as a son. I told her she needed to consider the situation, especially since she was still with Steven. The person who had actually ruined the boys' home was her, not Tom. I ended the conversation by telling her to save her crocodile tears for her F-toy and leave me out of it. I don't think I was wrong, but my girlfriend thinks Tom is taking things too far and that it wasn't my place to get involved. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. My in-laws divorced when my husband, 35 male, wasn't even 2 yet. His mom cheated. They had 50-50 custody his entire childhood. His dad hasn't spoken to her in over 30 years now, aside from one time when Hubs got in big trouble in high school for skipping class, and once right after high school when he had surgery for a hernia. What's fascinating is that neither seem to hate each other, at least now anyway. Mother-in-law has never said anything mean about father-in-law, and while father-in-law has rolled his eyes on occasion, he always asks how she is, and has also never said anything mean about her either. Right now it's fresh and she's desperate not to be the bad guy. Hopefully she'll grow to accept it eventually like my in-laws did. I will also note that my husband is totally on his dad's side and not talking to his mother, and said many times that while it kind of bugged him as a kid when he didn't fully understand why mom and dad didn't talk, as soon as he was old enough to digest the situation, it no longer bugged him and it felt like she deserved it. Not the a-hole. While it's important to keep lines of communication open to talk about the kids and their stuff, anything else is just out of kindness. He doesn't owe her anything at all. I would try to be civil around the kids though, especially if they're really young and don't really know what's going on. The boys are 9 and 10. He is semi-civil. Like at events, he won't speak to her if it's not needed. I don't blame him. I'd rather not say anything that risks blowing up at her. As long as he keeps putting the best interests of the kids first, he's good. He's gone. He doesn't speak because there's no reason. She ruined their family. She's gotta deal with it. Let her go cry on her boyfriend's shoulder. Tom doesn't owe her not one bit of conversation. And your girlfriend has a lot of audacity to say Tom is taking it too far. No, he's doing just fine. He's doing nothing wrong. And the fact your girlfriend is taking the cheater's side is mind-boggling. Why the heck should he speak to her? Damn, people are stupid. Right? It's wild how some people think they can just act however they want and then expect everything to go back to normal. Cheaters feel entitled to your attention and get upset when you start to focus on the more important things. It wasn't your business. Then the cheater asked you to get involved. She made it your business. As for Tom taking it too far, he hasn't bad-mouthed her to the kids or even told them why the divorce happened. That is an A grade in my book, especially when she's dating the affair partner and crying about how her cheated on ex isn't being nice to her. Frankly, this is a red flag for OP's girlfriend's morals. She thinks that simply not speaking to someone who destroyed you is taking things too far. Sounds like a guilty conscience. What is she afraid of being punished for that she would care? Next story. Am I the a-hole for going through with ending things with my ex, even though she was recently assaulted? I, 30 male, am an attorney. I met my ex-fiancée, 26 female, about 3 years ago. After a year of dating, we moved in together and rented a house. This past January, I made partner at my firm and we got engaged. In March, my firm offered me a great opportunity to help open a new office out of state, about 3 hours away. After discussing it, I decided to take the offer. I bought a house at a new location. The lease in our old place was set to end this month, so the plan was for my ex to stay there until the lease was up and then join me. In the meantime, we saw each other nearly every weekend and talked every day. We had a Ring doorbell at the rental house. This detail becomes important later. My ex worked at an art gallery that featured a rotating selection of local artists. In May, I started noticing a man frequently stopping by the rental house, usually carrying a canvas or something similar. He never stayed more than 10 to 15 minutes. When I asked my ex about him, she explained that he was a local artist the gallery was working with, and that he was dropping off pieces for her to take to the gallery. The frequency of his visits started to bother me. My ex assured me that nothing was going on. In July, during one of my visits, my ex was in the shower when he called. I answered and his tone made me uncomfortable. After the call, I looked through their text messages, which were blatantly flirtatious. I confronted my ex, and she turned pale. She apologized profusely and promised to quit her job, assuring me that she would find a new one once she moved in with me after the lease ended. Since I make more than enough to support us, I agreed, and she quit her job. About a month and a half ago, my ex was involved in a car accident. She was driving my old car and was rear-ended. This was strange because she drove her own car over 95% of the time. However, my old car was the only one we had without GPS tracking. She claimed she was alone and headed to a restaurant she liked when the accident occurred. I requested a copy of the police report for the insurance claim, and the location of the accident didn't make sense for where she said she was going. When I confronted her, she admitted she had lied and was actually visiting the artist who lived in the neighborhood. She claimed she was there to see a new painting. I immediately broke up with her. I told her I would continue covering rent through the end of the lease, October 31st, but after that I would no longer provide any support. Our mutual friends have told me that she has been depressed and barely functioning since then. She does not drink because of some experiences she had in high school, but last weekend she went to a party with friends and got very drunk. A man took her to a bedroom and assaulted her. Someone overheard her yelling no, and the man was eventually arrested. This has obviously been a traumatic experience for her. She and our mutual friends are now asking me to offer her support, whether financial or otherwise. She has no job, no prospects, and none of our friends are in a position to take her in. I feel bad for her, but I don't think it's my responsibility to provide the support they're asking for. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I noticed you wrote she and your mutual friends want you to offer her some support. You already did, then she lied and you broke up. She is no longer your responsibility. Let her family and friends support her. Also, she doesn't drink normally and went to the party with her friends who knew that. Why weren't the friends watching her? They failed her then, and now want to pass her off to you? No. Sorry, it's horrendous it happened, but she betrayed you repeatedly and doesn't get to expect your support or help anymore. Not the a-hole. You broke up with her. The fact you're still paying rent confuses me. It sucks about what happened to her, but it's not up to you to be there anymore. I am on the lease for the rent house, so it is in my best interest to keep paying it, which is why I did it after the breakup. As much as it sucks that happened, not the a-hole. All those friends who are pressuring you needs to look at themselves. Why are they not offering her support, financial or otherwise? X means you are moving on from each other. She broke your trust, and you felt that a reason to end things with her. You also already were nice enough to cover rent to end a lease. To be fair to the friends, many of them are offering support, financial support and otherwise. Issue is that vast majority of them have kids and are teachers, artists, musicians, etc., so their disposable income is quite limited. She quit her job in July. Why wouldn't she move out to be with you at that point? Story-wise, obviously because she was cheating. But logically, y'all could have broken the lease early. Sounds like you're doing well financially. Or she could have moved to you and a friend, neighbor, or one of you could have checked up on the apartment from time to time. We thought about it, but there would have been some logistical issues because new house was being worked on. We had pets at my work schedule. The convo we had was towards the end of July. Her last day at the job was in August. Plus, I was truly reassessing the relationship after all of this. So I was not personally interested in accelerating the timeline. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my cheating wife a day before our daughter's graduation that I would be divorcing her? My wife and I have been married for 20 years, and we have an 18-year-old daughter who graduated from high school a few months ago. About 6 years ago, I discovered that my wife had been cheating on me. The affair lasted for a couple of months. I seriously considered divorce, but my wife was genuinely remorseful. She quit her job, started going to therapy, and committed to all the reconciliation steps I asked for. Ultimately, I decided to stay with her for the sake of our family. For about 5 years, things were actually going well. We had date nights, romantic vacations, and seemed to really love each other. However, in the 6th year, the affair resurfaced in my mind, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I finally made my decision after something my sister said struck a chord with me. She asked, "Would you really want to use the gift of life to spend it with someone who betrayed you so badly?" This conversation happened a few days before my daughter's graduation, and that's when I decided I couldn't do it anymore. The day before my daughter's graduation, I informed my wife of my decision and told her I would be filing for divorce soon. She was shocked and cried a lot, pleading with me to reconsider, but I told her my decision was final. The graduation itself was great, and I was very proud of my daughter. My wife appeared happy, but my daughter noticed something was off and asked why her mom seemed sad and was trying to fake a smile. I told her not to worry about it and to enjoy the day. The following day, I informed my daughter about the divorce. She was shocked and asked how I could do this to her mom right before graduation, suggesting that was why her mom couldn't fully enjoy the day. I told her it was none of her business and reassured her that, regardless of what happens, we will both always love her. Now my wife and I are going through the divorce proceedings. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. I get it's tough, but the timing was terrible. Your daughter deserves joyful memories, not family chaos on her graduation day. She'll remember this forever. Then told her it was none of her business. Yikes. Yeah, it's definitely her business. He had 6 years to decide, but it had to be the one day prior to her graduation. Definitely you're the a-hole. Are you having a midlife crisis? You forgave her. You waited 6 years? Did a young chick make it so these memories resurfaced? And then you made a graduation about the divorce. Your daughter will forever remember that. Yes, you're the a-hole. My daughter did have a really good time, and the graduation party was great too. We took lots of pictures, and I'm sure she will remember the day fondly. The next day, however, I told my daughter about the divorce because she kept asking me about why her mom seemed so down. I did not really want to break the news to her so soon after graduation, but I really had no choice because she wanted to know the truth. My daughter, of course, was really sad about hearing it, and she even broke down in tears. But divorce is just part of life, and both me and her mom still love her. She is at college now, and I'm sure she'll get over it soon. And I don't really have a midlife crisis for some other woman. I'm not even looking to date, at least for the next few years. My focus is on myself and my family of origin. You're the a-hole. You could have waited a few days. Also, if you were happy, why did you let that line from your sister affect you so much? Are you easily influenced by others? Is the appearance of having always had a perfect marriage so important to you? Isn't the point to get a deeper and deeper understanding of the other person and ourselves? It wasn't just that line, and it wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. I was dwelling on it for the past year or so and talking it out with my sis. She told me that it was finally time I put myself first and that I deserved to be with someone who would unconditionally love me. Someone who would be there for me through thick and thin, and someone who would never betray me. Last story. Would I be the a-hole? Leaving my wife because she won't even try to find a job. My wife, 41 female, and I, 41 male, were both laid off this past spring, receiving a 60-day notice and severance package. I took a month off and began job hunting at the end of May. By the end of June, I had started a new job with great benefits and a good salary. My take-home pay is about $650 more per month than my previous job. My severance from my last employer will end around Thanksgiving. My wife's severance ended about a month and a half ago, but she hasn't bothered applying for unemployment or making any real effort to find a new job. She usually sleeps until 10 to 11 a.m., then spends most of the day sitting in the living room watching cartoons on her laptop while knitting. I've tried being supportive and gentle, and I've also tried being firm about the fact that we can't afford to live on my income alone. Once my severance ends, we'll be in serious financial trouble. However, she doesn't seem to care enough to put any effort into job hunting, and whenever I bring it up, she shuts down. I'm now at the point where I'm considering taking our 8-year-old and moving out to live with my parents, possibly even filing for divorce because I can't cope with her complete lack of concern for how her behavior is affecting our family financially. Am I the a-hole for feeling this way? Would I be the a-hole for actually leaving? Of course, you're not the a-hole for wanting her to be the same provider as she was before getting laid off. She wouldn't be happy either if it were you sitting on your butt all day while she works. I get taking some time off after a layoff, but not months. She should be actively pursuing a job search and want to get back to work, but she's happy sitting around. So it's almost impossible to motivate someone like that. Tell her she's pushing you out the door with her attitude, and if it were you sitting there playing video games all day instead of finding another job, she'd have the right to be angry at you too. She needs to know you're serious about this and shutting down is not acceptable. She is displaying possible symptoms of depression. A change in employment status is a major life stressor, and doing what she's doing is pure escapism when someone is depressed. You should probably work on getting to the root of the issue instead of just repeatedly asking her when she's planning to get a job. Have you asked her anything about how she's doing or if there's anything she's interested in? I personally think it sucks to rush straight to divorce when things get tough. Because why bother getting married if you're just gonna run when things aren't going how you thought they would? Obviously, you're free to do whatever you feel is best, but maybe there are other issues going on that need to be worked out. Update. Of course, just an hour after posting this, I saw that she was on the state unemployment website applying for benefits. It's a start. After our daughter goes to bed tonight, I'm going to talk to my wife about how stressed I've been feeling and see if I can get her to open up about her own thoughts and feelings.
First story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for kicking my boyfriend's friend out after what he did with my food?" My female 28, boyfriend's male 30, childhood friend, male 30s, recently moved in with us after his place was ruined by fire. One thing I learned about him is that he loves being in the kitchen and cooking food. He's taken over the kitchen, not letting me cook my own meals. Since I'm allergic to certain ingredients, before eating his food I ask him if he put extra ingredients to make sure I don't eat food I'm allergic to. He'd lie and say no. So far, he's done it twice, resulting in my skin getting affected. I started cooking my own meal since he won't stop lying about putting certain ingredients in his food and causing me to find out the hard way. He clearly doesn't take it seriously and probably trying to prove my allergy doesn't exist. In the evening, I went to take a shower after I was done preparing my dinner and leaving it in the oven. My boyfriend's friend was in the kitchen the entire time, but was sitting at the table playing with his phone. After I got out of the shower, I went to check on my dinner, and almost immediately after looking at and smelling it, I noticed something was wrong. I asked if he's done anything to it. He shook his head, saying he didn't do much. After tasting it, he said he just added X ingredients since the meal lacked something. My dinner was ruined since I couldn't eat after he added ingredients I was allergic to. I snapped and yelled at him, telling him he had no business touching my food, and asked him what exactly his problem was because it looked like he was trying to prove a point of some sort. My boyfriend joined the argument. His friend's face turned red, claiming I was raising my voice for no reason. I told him to leave after arguing back and forth. My boyfriend gave him a ride to a mutual friend's place. That's how the other friends knew. And the next day, they lashed out at me, calling me toxic, mean, heartless, controlling, and that I overreacted, and should try to drive a wedge between childhood friends and kick him out while he's struggling. They berated me and demanded I apologize publicly. but I refused. To clarify two things. One, he said he thought the dinner was for all of us since he didn't cook. Suddenly no longer wanted to cook after I started making my own meals. And two, throughout the entire argument, he said he didn't know I was allergic to that ingredient that he put in my dinner. But I'm sure I've already mentioned all the things that I don't eat in my meals. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. Of course he told the other friends a highly biased version of events. The reality is that he knowingly and intentionally put allergens in your food. This person could not be trusted, period. Food tampering is also a felony. He's lucky you're not pressing charges. Not a-hole. Maybe she should. Not a-hole. And then she can be an a-hole to everyone because how could you? And it was just an accident. And he didn't know you were allergic. And you're so sensitive. And are you even allergic? Oh, wait. And it was just a prank, bro. Honestly, depending on how severe her allergic reaction can be to that ingredient, she freaking should. Real life has real consequences. Even after saying depending on how severe, I'm like, screw it, dude. Not depending. Just do it. Not a-hole. He was purposefully poisoning you after you let him stay in your home. He knows you're allergic and sneaks it in your food anyway. In a lot of states, that is considered assault and could be prosecuted. Cut him off. Anyone standing up for him deserves to be cut off too. Yep, I agree 100%. A normal person doesn't contaminate someone else's food with ingredients they know the person is allergic to. He should definitely apologize. Not a-hole. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for insulting my sister-in-law after years of holding my tongue? My sister-in-law is low class. I really have no better way of putting it. She has a 10th grade education, thinks she's smarter than everyone else, and brags to make herself seem like more than she is. At her core, she's white trash, plain and simple. My brother's the only reason she's not living in a trailer right now. She will bluntly talk about her sex life, about things she's done, and stuff that nobody really wants to hear. She'll also openly insult me, and I'm told by my parents to just accept it and not make waves with my brother. For 8 years, I've tolerated her on the basis that she makes my brother happy. This weekend, we were all together and she began talking about how my brother is a blanket hog. My fiancé laughed and admitted that she was the blanket hog when we shared a bed, and I never woke her up to get them back. Sister-in-law responded that she would wake my brother out of a sound sleep to get the blankets back, and that once he was awake, he'd be looking for something else. She then stated that I knew better than to wake my fiancé up, because I obviously didn't have my A-game at the time. These feral comments are typical of the type of things she typically says. I replied, I can make do with a sheet and light blanket. I don't need to disturb her sleep when she gets up so early. She laughed. I'm just saying, don't wake us up if you don't have the game to back it up. My fiancé was a virgin when we got together. This is not well known, as it's really nobody's business but hers. At this point, I'd had a few drinks and I was feeling a bit prickish. I smiled and replied, I can confidently say I am the best that my fiancé has ever had in her life. Sister-in-law rolled her eyes, looked at my fiancé and asked, really? I mean, I know you have to stroke his ego, but really? My fiancé laughed. Well, actually, he's right. He is definitely the best I've ever had, and that's not an exaggeration. Sister-in-law shook her head. In your whole life? Be honest, woman to woman, who's the best? My fiancé admitted, he's my first, best and only. Sister-in-law laughed. Wow, seriously? You gotta put some miles on those tires before deciding on the best. I interjected, well, when you buy a new model right off the floor as opposed to a used-up beater, you don't have to worry about who's been inside of it before you. Note, I do not think of women like this. I love and value my fiancé no matter what. And I drunkenly attempted to flip her own metaphor back on my sister-in-law. Sister-in-law became very quiet, and they left shortly after. My brother told me that my sister-in-law is very upset with me and says I called her a whore. I told him that I'd been holding my tongue for a decade for his benefit, and I was done putting up with her. I regret saying it, mainly because of the sexist implication and being drunk, but I stand by shutting down that line of conversation. Am I the a-hole? I regret saying it. No, you don't. If you did, you'd be apologizing to your brother and to your sister-in-law for that comment. Regardless if that is how you think of your sister-in-law and her comments, why the hell would you hang out with her? It's like you revel in the conflict and drama it brings. She sucks, but you're no angel. Think of some other way of resolving conflict than making sexist, disgusting comments like that. Everyone sucks here. Agree, everyone sucks here. OP, if you have an issue with sister-in-law, say something to her face in a one-on-one discussion, rather than just think she is trash for years and then shame her in a group setting. The fact that you said, "Note, I don't think of all women like this," shows that you already know this was a bad thing to say. You really could have said nothing at all, or told her you don't like her implying things about her sex life because it's none of her business and rude. Definitely, everyone sucks here. Everyone sucks here. By all accounts, your sister-in-law is trash, but what you said is awful. Apologize to your fiancé, as frankly I feel she deserves it. The next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her body hair is ruining her dates?" My sister 22 female and I 26 female both have PCOS. As a result, we have very thick, dark body hair and facial hair that can honestly rival some men's. I personally choose to shave regularly because I can't stand how it looks and feels. My sister used to shave, but about a year ago decided she wanted to stop. Of course I support her 100% and think she's beautiful. What she does with her body is her business. However, there is an issue. My sister uses old pictures of herself back when she was shaving and dating apps. This has led to a lot of problems in her romantic life. She often complains she never gets a second date, and sometimes people even leave mid-date. I think this is kind of her fault because she's being disingenuous about her appearance, which is a horrible thing to do. I have always bit my tongue and just supported her about this topic until recently. The other day, she was venting again about another failed date. She asked me why this keeps happening to her. I told her she should consider updating her profile pictures. She got defensive and asked why she would need to do that. I told her that it would probably help so people know what she looks like, since she looks a lot different than when they were taken. She started getting extremely angry and said that a little body hair doesn't make that much of a difference, and the right person won't mind a little hair. Again, our body and facial hair is very thick and dark, and in my opinion, definitely makes a difference. When I don't shave, I get a full mustache and beard, and my sister's the same. The people she's going on dates with aren't expecting her to show up with a full mustache and beard because her pictures show her clean shaven. I told her that she's beautiful, but she's giving people false expectations, which is why she's having bad luck dating. She should just be honest from the start and the right one will come along. But she was infuriated and said I was being unsupportive and misogynistic. She has refused to talk to me since, and my family's now calling me an a-hole too because they think I was shaming her. My sister even posted on social media that body hair is beautiful. The stigma attached to it is misogynistic. It sucks when your own family won't support you. Did I go wrong somewhere here? I love my sister and don't think body and facial hair is a bad thing at all. But I don't think it's right to basically catfish people and then blame them for not being interested and treating them like they're horrible people when you misled them. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. She's lied to those who look at her profile. And if body hair is natural and she's okay with it, why won't she update her picture? She's okay with her hair, proud of it. So why? Because she knows she won't get as many first dates if she did update it, is what I think. But it would solve the issue of people leaving in the middle of the date because they were lied to. Right. Her statement of the right person wouldn't mind a bit of body hair contradicts the fact she has an old pre-hair profile picture. Because she's not attracting the right person. She's attracting the wrong ones and going on dates with the wrong ones. She has to decide whether she wants lots of first dates or if she wants to really put herself out there with a new picture and try to find someone who will actually connect with her. Not the a-hole OP. You were honest but gentle about the whole thing. Exactly. If it doesn't matter, then a recent picture shouldn't matter either. Not the a-hole. I have PCOS. The honest answer is, if you choose to embrace the body hair issue, embrace it. But if she is claiming to embrace it, then not backing it up with being proud about it, then that's a huge issue. I also have PCOS and insulin resistance. I have a beard that would rival most men's, but I shave every day. I also have a pretty good happy trail as well. Not a-hole. Wow, your sister loves being the victim, doesn't she? No offense. If I see a guy clean-shaved, then I meet him in person with a beard, I'd straight up call him what he is. Catfisher. Body hair or not, if it's something she knows will make people swipe left, she should put it up there. Doesn't matter if she has extra weight, shorter hair, or a facial scar. Changing pictures, will make people swipe left, and meeting with them regardless is catfishing. And even if right guys show up, he would leave after being deceived. She loves complaining about them not staying when she's the one who catfished and wasted their time, then blamed you when she asked for your opinion and got defensive. The fact that she also made a post doesn't help either. She loves being the victim, and it's on her, not you. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not going along with my girlfriend's lie in her family's Zoom call? I, 22 male, was invited to my girlfriend's 21 female extended family's Zoom call where everyone eats dinner together and then plays games. As we were eating, they were mostly talking amongst themselves, and then one of her aunts said to me, "I've heard a lot of good things about you. I'm told that you're an engineer." So is my husband. He asked me what field of engineering I was in, as he is an electrical engineer at a major firm. I was a little confused at this point because that's not true. I work in the maintenance department at a children's hospital, and I'm a building maintenance tech. I went to trade school for building maintenance right after high school, and what I told my girlfriend was that I always wanted to pursue my bachelor's, but only after I've had time to save toward it. I do not want to take out loans. I told him, actually, I'm a building maintenance tech at XYZ hospital, but I'm considering my employer's tuition reimbursement program because I want to apply to mechanical engineering programs this year. It got really awkward, and her uncle was nice about it. Her uncle and her dad started asking me questions about what work was like in a hospital setting for non-clinical personnel at this time, and the conversation went in that direction. She chimed in when they asked her about school and her post-grad plans, but was pretty quiet. After the call, she called me on FaceTime and said that it was basically the same thing. And I said if it's basically the same thing, then why did you lie about it? She explained that her aunts could be classist, and that it would have been better if I had just gone along with it, because I made her look stupid in front of her family, and that her aunts probably think less of both me and her now. I told her that I like what I do. It keeps a roof over my head, and I've been fortunate to keep my job this entire time, all without having a college degree yet. After she repeated that she felt stupid, I said I would talk to her later because I felt like the conversation was not going anywhere. But now I really feel like I did the wrong thing and made things complicated for her with her family. Am I the a-hole for not going along with her lying about my job to help her save face? Edit, I've been with her for 6 months. Not a-hole. You were honest and managed a perfectly pleasant conversation with her family. Her fudging the truth is on her. If she was going to do that, she could have broached the subject with you to see if that was something you'd agree to doing for her. I have to wonder, is the aunt really classist or is she? I agree with most of what you said, except she didn't fudge. She lied outright. And she lied because, well, she's embarrassed to be with Opie. I'm sorry, Opie, but that classist aunt's excuse is BS. Not in the fact that the aunts may or may not be classist snobs, but that if they are, it's strictly a them problem, not an Opie problem. There's no reason why she wouldn't share your occupation. You are a skilled technician, and since you don't share her apparently rarefied birth circumstances, you are rightly worried about life-crushing college debt, the #1 ruiner of future behind medical debt. It's plain and simple to see. She thinks you, 1, have to be defended, which she should have your back already. But more importantly, 2, you can't be defended, so it's better to lie about you. I, 22 male, was invited to my girlfriend's 21 female extended family's Zoom call where everyone eats dinner together and then plays games. And then one of her aunts said to me, "I've heard a lot of good things about you. I'm told that you're an engineer." Aunt set you up after girlfriend lied about your status. Professional courtesy denied. Her aunts could be classist and that it would have been better if I had just gone along with it because I made her look stupid. Girlfriend looks stupid. She lied. Opie looks honest and hardworking and may become an engineer. This is all in girlfriend. Stop lying, girlfriend. Not day-hole. Lying is almost always the wrong way to go. And you sound like a catch. Am I the a-hole for asking my boyfriend's sister to reimburse us for the damages she caused after she threw a party in our apartment? For context, I am in a relationship with an amazing man. I met his family and his family have met me too, and got along apart from his little sister Jess. She never liked me once I stepped into their house. It was like she was trying to find every single fault in me, whether my clothes, which she would sometimes say, "You look like a cheap woman showing that much cleavage," or stating, "You look like a nun all covered up." But regardless, I always try to make friends with her, whether it was baking her favorite cookies, buying cinema tickets for her to watch a movie, etc. I never wanted to have a bad relationship with my boyfriend's sister. A few months passed by, and honestly, my relationship with Jess slightly improved. There were no snarky comments about me or my clothing. Everything was chill, until my boyfriend and I had a 3-day trip and were leaving our shared apartment and needed a house sitter to take care of our plants and our 3 dogs, and Jess volunteered. I was very hesitant, but my boyfriend assured me maybe she was trying to get in my good books. I left her my keys to the apartment since I didn't have a pair, and it was honestly just a 3-day trip. Fast forward 3 days later, we called Jess to inform her we're coming back, but she doesn't answer the phone. So later on, we're knocking on the door. When there's no answer for about 10 minutes, I try calling Jess repeatedly but still no answer. After a while, Jess opens the door. I was honestly relieved as we thought something bad happened. I tried answering, but she blocked me as I politely tell her to move away, before I pushed past her to see our apartment in ruins. Broken cups, plates, glass, and even a shattered wine bottle. Even a few painting broken. But thankfully, it was only the sitting room and the dining area. Jess then starts apologizing, saying she just had a few friends over, who brought a few friends with them, and this mess happened. And I was having none of it, as maybe this was some kind of sick prank. I tell her I don't care how this all happened, but she would have to reimburse us for all the damages. Thankfully, my boyfriend supported me. Jess broke down in tears. I did feel bad for her, but actions do have consequences. She then starts shouting at me, saying our relationship was getting better, and I messed it up, in which I told her, "You're the only one who messed it up, not me." She did leave a few minutes later, but now my messages are flooding, with some of her family members telling me to forgive her, and it was a mistake and I am being too harsh on her, but I'm not budging. Now for the top comments. Not stay home. Have you taken pictures? If you haven't, do so if possible. If it escalates, then you have proof to show the police. I haven't taken any pictures. Hopefully, it doesn't get to a point that I have to inform the police. I hope it doesn't either. I would take pictures for insurance purposes, and if any family member says anything, you can offer to show them the damage. I can guarantee they would be angry if she did that at their home. Yes, because it's likely she's telling them things like it's just a little messy, and are blowing it out of proportion. Pictures will tell the real story. Document everything. Not stay home. It isn't a matter of forgiving her, and you could tell her flying monkeys that you do forgive her, though you are not obligated to do so. You just want her to take responsibility and reimburse you for the damage. I tell her I don't care how this all happened, but she would have to reimburse us for all the damages. This is a perfectly reasonable stance. Thus, forgiveness is not the same thing as released from consequences of your actions. Additionally, you can forgive someone but still not trust them. Not stay all OP. Be polite and civil with her, but keep her at arm's length. Your significant other needs to shut her down too. Her comments on your appearance need to stay in her mouth. When someone sends their flying monkeys in an argument, it's because they know they were wrong. You are not a-hole, but Jess definitely is. So she damaged your place and didn't even have the decency to clean it up. And now you just have to forgive this behavior? After she reimbursed the damages, she's forgiven. If she took accountability for her actions and you continued to hate her, they could say these kinds of things, but not now. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take in a single mother and her children? I own a 3-bed, 2-bath, and I use one room for work/guest room and one room to sleep in. I wanted to find a roommate to take the last room I wasn't using, and they would have their own bathroom. I posted a bedroom for $900 looking for a single female roommate and got a lot of interest. I also told some of my friends about wanting to find a roommate because I would rather live with someone I already know. One of my friends gave my number to a friend who was a single mother of 3 kids. She asked to see the place without telling me she had children, and I let her come to look at the place. She brought her 3 kids with her to see the place,
And I told her I was looking for a single female, not 4 people. She got angry and accused me of discriminating against her and threatens to get her lawyer involved. I know I'm not allowed to have preferences for roommate, and only full unit rentals are not allowed to discriminate against children. I told her she could, but the law was in my favor and told her I wasn't interested in living with her children, especially since the rental was for 1 room, so where would they sleep? She told me I should give up the room I work in to her 2 oldest, and I told her nope, that's not definitely going to work, and kicked her out. She called me again 2 days later and begged me to let her and her children stay for a month or 2, since her landlord was kicking her out at the end of the month and her children would stay at their grandma's, so I just had to take her in. I heard horror stories about tenants refusing to leave and evictions taking forever, so I told her I had already found a tenant. This isn't a lie. I had someone I thought was a good fit, but they wanted to move in the next month, June, instead of May, which would have been better for me. But in the end, I decided to go with her. But I didn't believe she would leave her kids and sneak them in as soon as she moved in. My friend called me up and told me she was desperate and couldn't afford a higher rent elsewhere and I should take her in as an act of kindness. I have heard lots of horror stories about bad roommates, so I didn't want to risk it. But am I the a-hole for not wanting to take that risk? Not the a-hole. You searched for 1 female and 1 room. She demands 2, I guess for the same rent, and wants to move in with 4. Hell no. And threatens to call a lawyer when Opie understandably tells her no. Why is she being evicted? I see that as a big red flag. If she can't afford a higher rent, then how will she afford a lawyer to sue? Right? I'm getting evicted, but I'm gonna call a lawyer on you. I'd laugh. Definitely a toothless threat. Your friend should take this person in if they are so concerned. To misrepresent the situation entirely by bringing 3 children, unannounced, then expecting you to hand over your home office is not realistic. It's unfortunate, but if the grandparents can take the kids, the mom should be with them. I think you are being wise and cautious. Not stay home. Not stay home. Your intuition and feelings seem to be spot on. She's already a pain in the neck, and she hasn't even moved in. She hasn't shown any regard for you from the beginning, and getting rid of her will be difficult. With a 10-foot pole, don't approach her. She's a walking, talking, entitlement red flag. Not stay home. Considering the immediate yelling and lawyer threats, she's never gonna leave. It'll be hell. Do not give in. Not stay home. Look, not everyone wants to hear it, but an act of kindness shouldn't be coerced. If you weren't willing to live with a single mom and her 3 kids, you weren't willing to, and that is okay. This situation is only bolstered by her initial entitlement to your space, suggesting you give her a second room for her kids she didn't mention? Come on. And lack of respect for your desires. And why doesn't the friend take them in out of an act of kindness? Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not putting my girlfriend's name on her property? Me, 23 male, and my girlfriend, 24 female, have been together for almost 7 years. We live with our parents, and we are planning to live together. We found a small apartment in a nice part of the city that is very affordable, but we haven't made our decision yet. The issue began when we were talking about logistics, and she said that she can't wait to finally have something under her name. Now, the thing is that I earn a lot more than her. Still, I'm not wealthy by any means, and we agreed that I would be the one paying for the mortgage and part of everything else, while she only pays part of the bills and part of the food, and she saves up some money. So I told her that since I'm the one that is going to pay for the apartment, I only feel comfortable putting the apartment under my name. She blew up at me calling me selfish, that I'm already thinking about breaking up and that I want to leave her with nothing. I told her that it isn't true, that I want to grow old with her and love her until the day I die and beyond, but that a lot of people felt that way and they still ended up breaking up, and I just wanted to look after myself. I told her we are not married yet, and I obviously would not expect her to give me part of her savings if we part ways. So it is not fair to expect me to give her part of the apartment that I would be paying for if we part ways. She called me an a-hole and now is not talking to me to fix things up. At this point, I'm just considering getting the apartment anyway for myself, and if she wants to stay with me, she would be welcome to move in. So am I the a-hole? Edit. I'd like to answer to a couple of questions.
1. How much would you both contribute? I would have to give a down payment of $8,000, which is a lot in my country. Most people can only save that amount by working at least 2 years and not spending any of their earnings. Also, I would be paying around $500 to $550 per month on a mortgage, food, and bills. She would be paying around $80 to $120 in food, internet, and transportation. She has to commute and I work from home. 2. How would a chore split? Well, our intention is to split everything 50-50, but since she is outside working most of the day, I would be the one cleaning and cooking most of the time. She could do everything on the weekends, but that would be tiring for her since she doesn't have that much free time. 3. Do you plan to marry her and have kids and add her to the deed? I'm personally not a fan of marriage, but I have talked about it with her, and I decided that if I ever get married, I want it to be with her. I don't do it yet because of money. I want to purchase the apartment and have stability, and because I want to see what it's like to live with her first. We don't want kids. I got a vasectomy last year and she was on board with it. However, she has mentioned things like I'd be a great father or that she would like to experience what it's like to be a mother. And I told her that if she feels that way, we must break up because I don't want to waste her time and have her resent me for that. She said she was fine with it and that they were just passing thoughts. If we get married, I could add her to the deed or just sell the apartment and buy a new one for both of us where we both contribute. Whatever we discuss in the future. Thank you for all your comments and insights. It helped a lot in thinking things through. Now for the comments. Not stay home. You're buying it and paying for everything. You're not married. You can change the deed if you do get married. Not sure what country OP is in, but in mine, de facto relationships after a certain time are legally as good as married ones. 7 years is more than enough. Not stay home. This is business. It's unwise to put someone's name on the deed when that person has not invested in the property. If you get married and choose to continue living in the apartment, you can always add her name to the deed then. But as it stands, you are taking 100% of the financial risk. Completely agree. I'd want to add that the girlfriend should view it this way as well. When my husband, then boyfriend of 6 years, bought our home, I insisted on having a lease agreement. It protected me from being homeless in the event we broke up. I would have 90 days to move out and keep any assets I supplied to the household, and clearly outlined our financial responsibilities. I didn't pay rent, but it called out which bills I agreed to cover. Not stay home and good call. You're not married, and she's not paying the mortgage. There is no reason for her name to be on the deed, and the fact she got this upset over, it makes it sound like your instinct was accurate. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for giving my brother-in-law and his handicapped daughter a sad time to move out? I'll preface this by saying that my brother-in-law, 43, lost his apartment and job, and he and his handicapped 13-year-old daughter had no place to live. My husband took them in 4 months ago. Brother-in-law is your typical tiny, 5'4" man. He hates fat people, to the point he wouldn't tip waitresses he considered fat. He is obsessed with body image so much it put his daughter in a wheelchair because of his constant dogging about every meal he saw her put in her mouth. He's her main caretaker but been doing it wrong, so I help, but he tells me off. I'm a bit on the heavy side. Not obese though, and it takes every chance to talk me into losing weight. He also trashes the place, then tells me to clean to motivate me to burn fats. He also leaves adult magazines on the kitchen counter, and my toddler sees them. He also calls me names like fatso or tell my husband, "Dude, your wife's beard scares the heck out of me," whenever I pick a fight with him about leaving his daughter without feeding. Some days ago, he was out all day and didn't feed his daughter. He gives her specific foods, not that a doctor recommends it. The food ran out and he said he was going out to buy some but didn't return. She literally begged me to feed her anything, so I made her a sandwich with my son. Her father returned and went off on me saying I had no business feeding his daughter junk. It was homemade, and cussed me out, then accused me of trying to fatten her up and become a pig like me. I had enough, and yelled at him that his daughter wasn't a dog, then told him he had X time to pack and leave. He told my husband and he started arguing with me. I said I could not take any more humiliation in my own home. He said it was appalling and loathsome that I want his brother and handicapped knees on the street. Told me to go apologize and really do better, but I refused, and things have been tense since then. Info, why have you not reported him to the social services? He's mistreating his daughter. I have threatened him at some point, seeing how he essentially treats his daughter as a dog. My husband got mad at me, and he threatened to divorce me if I try to tell someone. You could have solved this by calling child services at the same time you filed for divorce. That child needs to be protected. If you don't call child services, you are absolutely the a-hole here. Not the a-hole. Also, this is more of a husband problem. Your husband doesn't seem to care at all that his brother straight up is a bully to his wife and starves his niece. I would call CPS on your brother-in-law. Call CPS. Don't let her leave with him. Kick him out but keep her there. I know she's not yours, but you'd literally be saving her life. Not stay home. Call CPS and kick brother-in-law out. Keep the daughter. If the husband goes, so be it. Why would you be with someone who supports and enables child mistreatment? You and she deserve so much better.
What game is my ex playing now? Original post. My, male 47, ex-wife, female 48, left me a year and a half ago for a guy who was married to her high school best friend, some friend she turned out to be. We had been married 20 years and had what I thought were 2 children together, but I recently found out that my 6-year-old daughter isn't mine. She's his. She knew this from day one of being pregnant and kept it from me, and it's my name on the birth certificate, and I do intend to fight for custody as this has been my daughter and the certificate is a legally binding document. She might not be blood, but that is my daughter. Clearly this affair has been going on for some time. Finding out was a kick in the teeth. When I asked her if it's him or me, she said it's him. Why? Because he can get it right back up after doing it and go again. That's the only reason. Bedroom fun. Forget the fact that I worked 2 jobs to put her through school and continued to do so she could stay home and raise our kids and cheat on me. I gave up pursuing my dreams and music career for her so that she could pursue hers and have a family. They have been the number one thing in my life. My ex has always been a cold woman. She's bipolar and life wasn't always easy. Her outbursts and physical and emotional antics were soul-crushing, but I endured it because I thought she couldn't help it. Turns out, that wasn't entirely true. She admitted to friends that she often hit me because she felt like it, or wasn't getting her way. My kids had witnessed on several occasions her striking and verbally mistreating me, and each time I took it without fighting back, and hating my kids to witness this. At one point towards the end, she was angry at me for not taking the trash out the moment I came home, and grabbed me by the neck and started squeezing, while my son stood horrified watching. I told her our son will always remember this, and she let me go. I should have left long ago. I know this now. I'd like to think that if not for my children, I would have. But I didn't want them to have a broken home, and held on to the hope that someday my wife would go back to being the woman I fell in love with. I know now that those days are dead and gone, and have been for years. After everything came to light, my wife sat down with her friend whose husband she was cheating with, and told her point blank, yes, it's true. No, I'm not sorry. And then my wife got up and walked away. I was told this by her friend. My wife left, took the kids and moved in with him in an apartment behind the one we shared. Even then, I held on to the hope that she would see the grass wasn't greener with him. He had cheated on his own wife several times besides with my wife, and she knows this. I waited that entire first year waiting for her to come back. She kept the apartment keys, and I assumed she was still holding on to them because she knew she would come home. But at the end of that year, they began their cruelty again, with him constantly dropping by the bus stop as I was putting the kids on the bus for school, and telling me, I've come to see my daughter off to school. Not your daughter, mine. I told him, then why were you so content for the past 5 years to let me raise her to have my last name, let me be there at her birth, and raise her as mine? Where were you? Why is my name on the certificate as her father instead of yours? That almost earned me a punch to the face, and it did earn me to a drunken visit by the both of them at the end of the night, because he showed up to fight. My ex then decided to make everything public, going on Facebook and bragging about her new boyfriend. Our friends were shocked and reached out to me and his wife about it. I made sure to grab all the screenshots I could. She doesn't seem to care about the hole she's dug for herself with our upcoming divorce. Then again, why should she? I already got her with the paternity test. At the end I became self-destructive. I kept wondering what could I have done differently or better. She blamed me for not being around for her. But if I wasn't working 2 jobs, how could we have survived? I didn't clean when I got home because I was too tired, and she's screaming at me about trash when our kids have colored on all the walls, tore down blinds, put holes in the wall under her watch. But the not taking out the trash after working 16 hours was the problem. The worst part was that I wanted my family back so badly, I was believing it was my fault. It took a while to see the truth of it all. All that changed with my brother. He was determined to get me to play in his band, and even though I declined, he insisted that I meet the other members and decide then. That changed everything for me. I still declined, but I struck up a friendship with them and ended up casually dating a friend that the rhythm guitarist introduced me to. I quickly fell in love with this woman, 45, and it was a relief to be in a loving relationship with someone that wasn't a 24/7 screaming match that usually ended with me getting hit. Now throughout this time, as I've stated, my ex still had the keys to our apartment. She would occasionally let herself in and drop off stuff for the kids. The first time she let herself in and my new girlfriend was there, did not go well. She called me that night asking me who she was and why was she in our apartment. I enjoyed telling my ex that my girlfriend was none of her business. She moved on and left me and was living with someone else. The last few months, my ex has become erratic over my new girlfriend and has even begun to stalk her. My ex had sent my girlfriend a Facebook friend request and demanded my girlfriend to accept it. When my girlfriend refused, my ex called me screaming that I need to tell her to accept it because she needs to see the kind of person my girlfriend is, that I'm having our kids around. My girlfriend grabbed the phone from me and told her that she does not need to add her as a friend. Anything involving communication about the kids can be done through Messenger or through phone calls. That my ex does not and will not have access to our private life, friends, and family because she is not part of my girlfriend's personal life. This didn't set well with my ex. Later, my girlfriend showed me the sudden burst of friend requests she got from people that had my ex as a friend. My ex then started letting herself into my place every weekend and when I wasn't home at work to snoop around. I was on the phone with my girlfriend who was staying with me while I was at work to hear my ex walk in and girlfriend ask her if there was something she needed. My ex claimed she wanted to see how much milk I had in my fridge for when the kids came over. My girlfriend told her we had it handled and my ex left. When I got home, I demanded the apartment key since she's not living there. She then took my son's keys and made copies for herself. When my lease was up, my girlfriend asked me to move in with her so that we could distance ourselves from my ex. My ex did everything she could to hinder this, calling the police and telling them I was leaving with her belongings. And when asked what was hers, she couldn't name anything in my place that was left that was hers. Now we get the kids every other weekend, and I was told by my children that they are not allowed to talk about what they did with me because she doesn't want to hear it. That didn't last long. Now she pumps my kids for all the information she can get. I'm sure it's jealousy. We live on the beach. My girlfriend is very well off. And when we get the kids, we take a short walk to the boardwalk to ride rides, let them play on the beach, or visit the aquarium. If they return home with prizes, my ex throws them away. Now the issue with my ex was that the last few times she dropped off my kids, I noticed she now dresses and looks very similar to my girlfriend. She dyed her hair and cut it to match her. Whatever we do with the kids, my ex runs out the following week and tries to do the same thing with them. If we got to the beach, she takes them to the beach. If we go to the zoo, she takes them to the zoo. If she finds out what we had with them for dinner, she has to make the same thing and demands our kids to tell her whose they liked more. Last week my son asked to live with us because he said my ex was crazy. You better believe I'm using all this in court. Just when I didn't think things could get any crazier with her, the other night she starts texting me private photos. What the heck? My girlfriend was sitting next to me when they started coming in, and I immediately got defensive and told my girlfriend I didn't ask for them and that my ex and I aren't talking like that. I offered her my phone to go through to see for herself. My girlfriend looked at the pictures and asked for my ex's number so she could text my ex her own pictures back so that she could show her how it's done. I called my ex and asked her what the heck she was doing. I told her that my girlfriend was sitting next to me and saw the messages and is angry. My ex tried saying she meant to send them to someone else. My girlfriend said to her that my name was on one end of the alphabet, while her boyfriend was on the other. Then she asked her who's the new guy, since it was meant for someone else. My ex hung up. I really don't know what game my ex is playing. This is all just crazy to me. Edit, let me clear up a few things, because the comments keep coming back that as if I'm still living there. 1. My girlfriend did not send her own pictures in return. That was just her verbal response to what my ex had done, saying that she should show her how it's done, because the pictures were of my ex with her shirt off making duck faces at a mirror with her phone in her hand. My girlfriend simply made a joke in regards to my ex's lack of imagination. 2. I do not live in my old apartment that I shared with my wife anymore. I have moved in with my girlfriend because despite me taking the keys back from my ex, she took my son's keys and used those to keep breaking in. She does not have access to my new place and my kids don't even have keys for this reason. 3. I'm currently fighting for custody of my kids, and it's not easy with me not being the biological father of my daughter. But I'm fighting based on the birth certificate having me listed as the father, which gives me parental rights to my daughter. 5. My ex was prescribed medications, but I'm having serious doubts if she's taken them. 6. I check my kids for bruises and make sure they are not being maltreated. But she made the mistake of getting physical on her boyfriend, and he punched a hole in the wall and let her know if she raises a fist on him again, he's fighting back. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. From what you've described here, your ex is a few French fries short of a happy meal. Quite honestly, she sounds dangerous. You should talk to your attorney and see if there is any kind of restraining order you can take out on her. Yes, yes, and yes. Also, download a co-parenting app to use with her to discuss the children, and then block her number and her profile on all social media sites. You don't want to mess with crazy, just walk away from it. Your ex is stunned beyond belief that you were able not just to move on, but to move on with someone who is better than her. She probably thought that you'd be on the hook for life, so that she always had a backup plan in case her relationship with a fair partner goes south. Good on you for not letting her run your life. Also, if I may, I'd suggest getting a co-parenting app for communication, and only do communication through that application. Then block her and a fair partner on all socials. Good luck, my friend, you have this. You know there is no cure for bipolar disorder, right? She did you a favor. Sounds like you are living your best life. Insist on a co-parenting app for communication and block the crazy ex everywhere else. I'm trying to live my best life, but I am haunted by it all. I just want this divorce over with and to get my kids away from her. It's going to take a long time to heal from it all, and what I have now is almost too perfect, and I don't feel like I belong here at all. And I feel horrible for everything I'm putting my girlfriend through with this hell. I feel like I dropped a bomb on her life with my crap. And she's been a lifesaver through all this by taking me in and changing her life around to make room for me and my kids. I feel like I destroyed her life with my issues. The best revenge is a life well lived, bro. I see you taking your revenge and I love it. Do not, under any circumstances, allow your girlfriend to send her pictures to this person. It may have been a funny idea in the moment, but your ex would definitely post them everywhere she had the chance to and use it to harm your chances at custody in some way. Your best bet is to end all contact with your ex, except via a parenting app. She is malicious and you need to limit your exposure to that. That was just my girlfriend's response to that. My girlfriend chose to be humorous about it instead of flying off the handle, which shocked the heck out of me. I was expecting her to accuse me of trying to get my ex back, but she handled it with a joke. First update. So through a paternity test, my daughter is not my daughter, but the child of my ex-friend who is now residing with my ex. This past weekend was my daughter's official 6-year-old birthday. It was not my weekend to get the kids, and as a shock, my ex asked me if I wanted the kids for my daughter's birthday. Of course I took them. I was even granted them an extra 2 days. I figure they had some plans and were pawning the kids on me so they could go do whatever. But the thing that strikes me is that this is the first time that he can celebrate his daughter's birthday, and instead of doing something special as her father, she's given to me and my girlfriend. Anyone else think this a tad messed up? He's a disgusting degenerate who had a child with another man's partner, so don't make the mistake of expecting him to suddenly start acting like a responsible adult, after he's already gotten away with acting like scum for so long. His friend's partner, let's add to the list. That poor girl will be subjected to lousy parenting by most of the adults in her life. Document this disinterest if you decide to revisit custody. Document. Keep a log of the time she is with you, not just the days or hours. Start time and end time each day. You may never need it, but if you do need it one day, you'll be super glad that you kept records. My ex left my daughter with me significantly more time than our parenting plan specified, to go see her boyfriend in another state. Later on, she took me to court to get permission to move to the other state to be closer to her boyfriend. When the judge took a look at my log of how much time I had been spending with my daughter over and above the court order, he increased my parenting time permanently and reduced my child support. I didn't even ask for that. Really glad I kept track. My ex was furious. Interesting, are you still considered her legal father, and do you pay child support? Also, if you haven't already, consider using a co-parenting app with the ex so that incidences like this can be logged. You may want to revisit custody as the child ages if this sort of behavior continues. I'm glad to hear that you are in another relationship. Any plans for marriage or children? I am. It is my name on the birth certificate, which alone is another crap thing my ex did. She knew I wasn't the father and had me believing I was. A birth certificate is just as binding as adoption papers, so I am still considered her father and currently fighting for custody. As for the new relationship, marriage could be a future possibility. She is definitely more grounded and set in her morals than my ex and has made my children her top priority. My kids love and bonded with her, and my son has taken to opening up to her more than me or my ex. I was a little upset about it at first, but I get it. She's not a parent and can provide a response to him that is more focused on him and not making him feel like he's in a parental tug of war. I'm glad he has that. As for us having children, she's unable to have any. Now for the second update. Just an update, but I have to shake my head at this. Saturday night I received an angry text from my ex saying that she hopes I'm happy that I won. I know I shouldn't have engaged in the conversation, but I asked what her problem was. She answered with a response that made no sense and then proceeded to tell me to go ahead and gloat. Gloat times 10 because something happened to her, and then she proceeded to accuse me of being in on it. I asked what I'm supposedly in on. Instead of a direct answer, she went off on me about how all men are pigs and can't be trusted. From this I gathered two things. 1. She's drunk off her butt again. 2. The prick she left me for cheated on her. I didn't say anything. When she's like that, any response is a fight, and I chose to not get into it. I just read the texts and thought that she got exactly what was coming to her. She left me for my friend who was married and had cheated on his wife 3 times, with her being number 3. And when I brought this up as she was leaving me, she told me, I know what I'm getting into. I guess she thought she was the end-all to his wayward ways. When she ran out of insults to fling at me, she shifted her attack to my girlfriend, telling me she's ugly as heck, and I could have had any girl but I chose someone ugly to replace her with. My girlfriend is stunning both inside and out. My ex is also extremely jealous of my new girlfriend, and as I've mentioned in older posts, my ex had taken to stalking my girlfriend and trying to change her appearance to look like her. The attack continued with my ex telling me that I don't love my new girlfriend, and that it's impossible for me to fall in love with the first woman I sleep with after losing her. My ex and I had been apart a year when I met my now girlfriend. It took some time for me to feel comfortable trusting someone again, and that trust was earned and not given easily. She then followed up by claiming that I only love her because I lost my apartment, and that I'm kissing my girlfriend's butt for a place to live. As she so interestingly put it, it's only love when you're homeless. I had my own apartment across the street from my ex-wife because she decided to stay in the complex to flaunt the fact that she left me for my friend in my face every waking minute. When my lease was up, I decided to move in with my girlfriend and relocate my job there. I know she was trying to provoke a fight, and I just wasn't giving it to her. When I thought my ex's attacks couldn't get any more stupid and childish, she proceeded to tell me that she's sorry she wasn't enough for me. I wanted so badly to call her at that moment and scream it was me that wasn't good enough for her, that she left me. Or did she forget which of us walked out the door, and which of us walked out the door replacing the other with someone else? She left me for a married guy that had cheated repeatedly on his wife. Real freaking winner there. She then went on the attack on my girlfriend again, saying that we both know that she, my ex, was who I wanted to be with. That my girlfriend couldn't compete or hold a candle to her. At that point I had enough and asked her to contact me when she's better and sober, and turned my phone off. Hours later when my girlfriend came home, she asked me what was wrong. I warned her that she was going to get mad, and I handed her my phone and told her to read it for herself. She read it and just laughed herself off and handed me back my phone, and said, "Looks like he cheated." I said it seemed that way, and proceeded to try to reassure her, thinking the ugly comments might make her question me. They didn't even faze her. She told me that my ex's narcissist ways really come out full-blown when she's drunk, and bet that my ex was upset that she couldn't come to me for a revenge to get back at him. I have yet to hear anything else from my ex. My guess is, as usual, the next day, she looked back at those texts and saw what she did and feels stupid. I'm also betting she's back with him because she can't stand to be alone. I'm so glad your girlfriend laughed at this. Good woman. Massive improvement. My girlfriend is surprisingly level-headed when it comes to things. It's refreshing but still an adjustment. I'm so used to my ex's explosions that my girlfriend's calmness throws me. Mate, I feel this on a deep personal level. The current girlfriend, when we have an argument, will be like, "Babe, sit down, let's talk this out." While the ex, who lied, manipulated, used me for my money, cheated, gaslit, and committed DV against me, would freak out, explode into a rage, or shut down and run away whenever I said or did anything that she decided she didn't like at the time. With the new girlfriend, part of me is like, this is nice, but what's the catch? It's amazing what you learn when you get with someone more stable and rational. To say I'm not banged up from my previous relationship is an understatement. I'm trying to untrain myself from this, but it's work. Fights with my ex were full-blown blowouts, with her punching, spitting, and verbally telling me she wished I would just croak. A fight with my new girlfriend is the opposite. She wants to talk and understand. Then she explains why she feels a way, and gets why I feel the way I do and offers compromises. Sometimes we argue, but in the middle of it, she will laugh and say we need to take it down a notch. Let's take a minute and think about it and come back to it when things are calmer. I will admit, the angry flare is mine because I'm so used to fights with my ex, and I react the way I needed to when I was with her. It's work and a lot of trauma cleansing to go through.